On the night of 1–2 August 1945836, B-29 seconds struck multiple Japanese cities and maritime choke points. Of the force dispatched, 801 aircraft reached their targets, and only one was lost. The 20th Air Force, launched from the Marianas, under the command of Major General Curtis E. LeMay, Lieutenant General Nathan F. Twining, was appointed on 2 August 1945 to succeed him. This was the largest single-night B-29 operation by aircraft dispatched, delivering about 6,632 tons of ordnance, including naval mines. Engines thundered as formations ascended to around 10,000 to 13,000 feet, with the range to strike Honshu from the Marianas with combat loads. Parallel missions struck multiple cities with incendiaries. A separate formation delivered high explosive loads, and mine layers seeded key straits to choke coastal shipping. Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito faced flames. Vital sea lanes choked under mines. Toyama, 173 B, 29 seconds, 1465 tons. Hachiōji, 180 B, 29 seconds. Nagaoka, 125 B, 29 seconds, 925 tons. And Mito, 160 B, 29 seconds, absorbed the waves in sequence. Japan's air defenses, crippled by fuel shortages and depleted resources, stood nearly powerless. By late July 1945, the U.S. Strategic Air Forces had refined a dual strategy: night incendiary raids on secondary cities and aerial mining to strangle coastal shipping. The B-29, a four-engine Colossus, carried up to 2,000 pounds, about 10 tons of ordnance, and its advanced fire control system and radar-guided bombing enabled strikes with precision through darkness. The 1st to 2nd August raid harnessed these strengths, staggering mission timings to exploit wind patterns and amplify fire spread. Hachiōji's industrial commercial belt, Toyama's aluminum and chemical plants, Nagaoka's research facilities, and Mito's ties to Hitachi production burned under relentless calculated barrages. The B-29's Wright R-3350 engines, notorious for overheating early in the campaign, demanded intensive maintenance to sustain high sortie rates. Ground crews labored through pre-dawn hours, ensuring 836 aircraft launched on schedule. Pathfinders spearheaded the assault, marking targets with incendiary clusters that ignited on impact. Streams of bombers followed their bomb bays, releasing payloads over cities built largely of wood. Japanese night fighters, sparse and ill-equipped, failed to disrupt the disciplined formations. Anti-aircraft fire, though present, lacked the intensity to unsettle the mass delivery. The raid's sheer scale overwhelmed Japan's defensive coordination, leaving urban centers vulnerable to cascading firestorms. The night's rhythm pulsed with mechanical precision. Each B-29, spanning a wingspan of 141 feet, carried crews of 11 men trained for high-altitude navigation and bombing. The aircraft's pressurized cabins allowed operations at high altitude when required. On this raid, many attacks ran roughly at 10,000 to 13,000 feet beyond effective interception for fuel-starved defenders. The combat radius enabled strikes from distant Marianas bases largely beyond effective interception given fuel shortages. Hachiōji, west of Tokyo, was targeted for its industrial districts that supported the capital's wartime production. Toyama, on the Hokuriku coast, suffered a concentrated incendiary attack intended to cripple aluminum and chemical output. Nagaoka's regional hub with light industry and research was marked for a concentrated burn. Mito, linked to Hitachi production sites, drew a dedicated formation that inflicted heavy urban damage. Japanese commanders watched their radar screens in futility. B-29 formations evaded interception with disciplined altitude and timing. The adversary's perspective crystallized in this moment of dread. Outnumbered pilots scrambled, cursing the radar that tracked their dwindling squadrons. Defensive efforts fragmented as the 20th Air Force's waves pressed forward. The mining mission, running parallel, targeted key straits and approaches, dropping naval mines to paralyze Japan's coastal shipping. This chokehold on maritime arteries compounded the incendiary devastation, isolating cities from resupply and reinforcement. The raid's execution reflected months of refined tactics. Earlier campaigns had tested the B-29's capabilities, revealing constraints like engine reliability and weather dependency. By August 1945, these issues were mitigated through rigorous maintenance and precise meteorological planning. The constraint was time, darkness, and wind conditions dictated a narrow window for maximum fire spread. Crews synchronized their approaches, releasing M-17 incendiary clusters designed to ignite and merge into uncontrollable blazes. Civil defense reports later detailed the chaos sirens wailed, water pressure failed, and fire breaks collapsed as flames overran entire districts. 800 1B 29 struck their assigned targets, a testament to operational efficiency. Of 836 B-29 dispatched, 801 reached assigned targets, and only one aircraft was lost raids where mechanical failures or enemy fire claimed more. The aggregate payload was about 2 tons of ordnance, including incendiaries and aerial mines, each selected for its tactical role. The incendiary missions prioritized wood-built urban areas, exploiting Japan's architectural vulnerability. The high-explosive strike targeted reinforced structures, while the mining force sealed maritime routes. This multi-pronged assault demonstrated the B-29's versatility and the 20th Air Force's ability to coordinate complex large-scale operations. As the first fires bloomed below pathfinders, radioed confirmations of target acquisition. Bombardiers adjusted for wind drift, ensuring clusters landed within designated grids. The night sky glowed with the distant orange of burning cities visible to trailing formations. Ground crews back in the Marianas prepared for the return, readying fuel and repairs for the next sortie. The raid's scale and precision marked a pinnacle of strategic bombing, setting the stage for the campaign's final acts. Toyama faced 173 B-29 Superfortresses, which unleashed about 1,465 tons of incendiaries. The city, a hub for aluminum and chemicals, saw 99.5% of its urban area reduced to ash. Nagaoka endured 125 B-29, dropping about 925 tons of incendiaries. Assessments recorded about 65.5% of its urban core destroyed. Hachiōji absorbed a heavy incendiary load, its industrial belt consumed by flames spreading through wooden districts. Mito, linked to Hitachi's production, suffered severe devastation from its dedicated formation. Pathfinders marked targets with precision, their radar scopes guiding initial drops. Bombardiers released clusters that sparked multiple ignition points across cities. Civil defense logs captured the chaos, sirens wailed, sub-incendiaries fell like rain, and water systems failed under pressure. Firefighting units drained from prior raids saw fire breaks collapse as winds drove flames through neighborhoods. The B-29's range enabled Marianas to Honshu strikes. Formations returned to base with only one aircraft lost. Only one aircraft was lost across 800, one successful sorties, a testament to tactical and mechanical reliability. Bomb bays opened around 10 to 13,000 feet for accuracy. Incendiary clusters designed for maximum spread ignited wooden structures with devastating efficiency. Toyama's chemical plants fed the inferno, sending plumes into the night sky. Nagaoka's industrial and research facilities suffered extensive fire damage during the concentrated burn. Hachiōji's industrial districts suffered extensive disruption as flames overtook production areas. Mito's urban core burned through the night with infrastructure severely damaged. The high-explosive mission, running concurrently, targeted reinforced structures targeting reinforced industrial sites that had previously endured high-explosive attacks. Japanese defenders faltered, stretched beyond their limits. Night fighters starved of fuel struggled to intercept. Anti-aircraft batteries fired sporadically their rounds, failing to break the streams. The mining mission, synchronized with city strikes, dropped naval mines into key straits, severing maritime lifelines. This dual strategy, fire and blockade, isolated cities, crippling local economies and recovery efforts. The 20th Air Force's coordination ensured each mission amplified the other's impact, honed through months of relentless raids. Radar guided B-29 through clouds at roughly 10 to 13,000 feet. Crews navigated by instruments adjusting for wind and weather to maintain precision. Bombardiers trained for accuracy corrected for drift, ensuring payloads hit designated grids. The fires below merged into firestorms, their glow visible to trailing aircraft. Post-raid assessments reported severe damage. Toyama's aluminum facilities were devastated. Mito's urban core and linked facilities were heavily affected, and Hachiōji's industrial belt suffered extensive disruption. The adversary's despair crystallized as cities burned. Japanese commanders watching radar ordered futile defenses against relentless B-29 waves. The raid's efficiency, 836, dispatched one lost reflected engineering improvements over earlier engine troubles. The right R, 3,350 engines prone to overheating early in the campaign, performed reliably after rigorous maintenance. Ground crews in the Marianas worked tirelessly preparing for the return and the next sortie. The 1-2 August 1945 operation showcased the B-29's ability to devastate multiple targets in one night, setting a brutal pace for the war's final days. As formations turned homeward, the sky glowed orange behind them. Crews silent in pressurized cabins monitored instruments aware of the devastation below. The B-29 seconds that struck their targets. The raid's success underscored the 20th Air Force's mastery of large-scale operations. Toyama, Nagaoka, Hachiōji, and Mito suffered extensive industrial and logistical degradation. The mining mission's chokehold on sea lanes severely limited recovery, amplifying the incendiary strike's impact. The night's devastation marked a pinnacle of strategic bombing, its fires lighting the path to Japan's collapse. On the night of 1-2 August 1945, the 20th Air Force launched 836 B-29 seconds from the Marianas. This operation, the largest single-night B-29 operation of the war by aircraft dispatched, delivered about 2 tons of ordnance, including naval mines across parallel mission elements, city incendiary formations, a high-explosive formation, and a dedicated mining force. Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito burned. Vital sea lanes choked under mines. Japan's air defenses, crippled by fuel shortages and depleted squadrons, offered negligible resistance. Anti-aircraft fire, once formidable, could not disrupt formations flying roughly around 10 to 13,000 feet. Their range enabled strikes from the Marianas, while limiting effective interception by fuel-starved defenders. Japanese commanders watched radar scopes in futility. Pilots, grounded by fuel scarcity, cursed scramble orders they could not execute. Night fighters, constrained by performance and fuel, failed to mount effective interception. Anti-aircraft crews, exhausted and undersupplied, fired without effect as bomber streams crossed the coasts. The mining mission sealing vital straits severely limited maritime relief to the burning cities. This dual strategy, fire and blockade, shattered Japan's defensive framework and exposed the weakness of dispersed industrial nodes. Engines were held at demanding power settings for long night legs, not at full throttle for 6 hours. The B-29's right R 3,350 engines, once prone to overheating, performed reliably under rigorous maintenance. Ground crews, laboring through the pre-dawn, kept the launch sequence on time. Pathfinders, guided by radar, marked each target with precision, enabling bombardiers to lay incendiary clusters into designated grids. The fires below merged into firestorms, consuming wooden districts with devastating efficiency. Civil defense reports recorded collapsed infrastructure, water systems failed, fire breaks vanished, and urban centers became infernos. The raid's scale overwhelmed fragmented defenses. Only one B-29 was lost, a stark contrast to earlier phases of the campaign. The 20th Air Force's ability to strike multiple cities and mine sea lanes in a single night showcased operational mastery. Toyama, hit by 173 B-29 seconds with about 1,465 tons, saw 99.5% of its urban area reduced to ash. Nagaoka, hit by 125 B-29 seconds with about 925 tons, lost much of its industrial core. Hachiōji's industrial belt and Mito's logistical nodes tied to Hitachi production were wrecked, severing critical links in Japan's war economy. Of 836 B-29 seconds dispatched, 801 reached their assigned targets, and only one was lost. The B-29's design underwrote this dominance. Pressurized cabins sustained crews at high altitude when required. On this night, many attacks ran nearer 10 to 13,000 feet to maximize incendiary effect and timing with winds. Radar-guided bombing held accuracy through cloud and darkness, while the combat radius of about 1,600 miles enabled deep strikes and safe recovery. Maintenance teams mitigated engine issues and sustained high sortie rates. Japan's decentralized production, intended to preserve capacity, proved vulnerable to mass incendiary raids. Secondary cities lightly defended could not resist the B-29's reach. The mining chokehold on coastal shipping isolated the stricken urban centers, preventing resupply and amplifying the fire's impact. As formations turned for home, the horizon glowed orange. Crews silent in their pressurized cabins monitored instruments and fuel states, aware of the devastation below. The 1st to 2nd August operation, 826, dispatched 801 on target, 1 lost, stood as a pinnacle of strategic bombing and pushed Japan's war economy to the brink. The 1-2 August 1945 raid marked the climax of a summer of relentless incendiary strikes and aerial mining. 836 B-29 Superfortresses, delivering about 2 tons of bombs plus naval mines, devastated Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito while sealing vital sea lanes. 801 aircraft hit their targets with only one lost, showcasing the B-29's combat radius about 1,600 miles and the 20th Air Force's tactical precision. Japan's secondary cities meant to sustain industry lay in ruins, their economies shattered by fire and isolation. Payloads dropped around 10 to 13,000 feet sparked firestorms. Toyama's aluminum and chemical plants, Nagaoka's research hubs, Hachiōji's industrial belt, and Mito's logistical nodes were obliterated, crippling Japan's war economy. The mining mission's chokehold on coastal shipping blocked food, fuel, and materials, isolating devastated regions. Civil administration collapsed as fire-ravaged cities reported widespread displacement and resource shortages. Japan's war machine, starved of production and mobility, faltered under the raid's devastating impact. The raid set the stage for a rapid sequence of decisive strikes. On 5th August, additional multi-city incendiary attacks followed, further dismantling Japan's urban infrastructure. On 6th August, a single B-29 dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. On 9th August, another atomic strike hit Nagasaki. Simultaneously, the Soviet Union invaded Manchuria, crushing Japan's continental forces. The 1st to 2nd August operation, with its 836 B-29 seconds, demonstrated the ability to destroy multiple cities and choke maritime routes in one night, amplifying these later blows. Japan's leadership faced a stark truth: resistance was impossible. The combined weight of incendiary raids, mining operations, atomic attacks, and Soviet entry eliminated any prospect of continuing the war. By mid-August 1945, dozens of cities lay in ashes, coastal shipping was paralyzed, and industrial output was severely degraded. The 1st to 2nd August raid, delivering about 2 tons of bombs plus naval mines, exemplified the campaign's unrelenting pressure. Japan's decentralized production, designed to preserve industry, proved powerless against the B-29's reach and precision. Radar-guided B-29 seconds through clouds at roughly 10 to 13,000 feet. The aircraft that struck their targets. Crews returning to Marianas bases saw glowing horizons, unaware their mission had hastened Japan's collapse. Ground teams maintaining the right R-3,350 engines ensured high sortie rates, overcoming earlier overheating issues. The raid's success reflected engineering improvements, with the B-29's combat radius about 1,600 miles, enabling deep, untouchable strikes. Japan's defenses, already broken, crumbled under the converging forces of fire blockade and atomic devastation. The adversary's realization came too late. Japan's commanders, tracking B-29 seconds on radar, could only watch as their nation burned. On 15th August 1945, Japan accepted surrender terms, ending the war. The 1st to 2nd August raid exposed the vulnerability of secondary cities and maritime routes. Its synchronized city burns and mining operations amplified the campaign's strategic impact, dismantling Japan's industrial and military resilience. The 20th Air Force's mastery, refined through months of raids, culminated in this operation, its fires signaling the end of Japan's war effort. The B-29's dominance, driven by engineering and tactics, reshaped the war's final days. Its pressurized cabins sustained crews at altitude when required. Radar-guided bombing ensured accuracy, while maintenance teams sustained operational tempo. The raid's efficiency, 836 dispatched, 1 lost, underscored its devastating effectiveness. Japan's surrender, driven by the cumulative toll of raids like 1st to 2nd August, marked the collapse of a nation's capacity to fight its cities and lifelines, reduced to ash and silence. The B-29 Superfortress, a feat of engineering, drove the 1–2 August 1945 raid's devastating success. 836 aircraft, delivering about 6,632 tons of bombs plus naval mines, struck Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito while mining vital sea lanes. The B-29's combat radius, about 1,600 miles, enabled strikes from Marianas bases, beyond sustained interception by fuel-starved defenders. 801 aircraft hit their targets with only 1 lost, reflecting mechanical reliability and tactical precision, refined through months of grueling operations. The B-29's design surmounted significant challenges. Its Right-R, 3,350 engines, notorious for overheating in early missions, required meticulous maintenance. Ground crews toiling through pre-dawn hours inspected and repaired each aircraft, ensuring 836 launched on schedule. Pressurized cabins sustained crews at high altitude when required. On this operation, many attacks ran nearer 10 to 13,000 feet. Radar-guided bombing systems delivered precision through clouds, releasing incendiary clusters with lethal accuracy. The aircraft's central fire control system, integrating multiple remote turrets, deterred the rare interceptor that dared approach. Engines were held at demanding power settings for long night legs, not at full throttle for a fixed 50 hours. Ground crews countered overheating with refined procedures and cooling practices, sustaining high sortie rates. The raid's efficiency, only 1 aircraft lost, highlighted these engineering improvements. Early campaigns had revealed engine vulnerabilities, but by August 1945 maintenance protocols had evolved, enabling peak B-29 performance. This reliability allowed the 20th Air Force to execute the war's largest single raid, overwhelming Japan's fragmented defenses with unprecedented scale. Japanese commanders monitoring radar saw B-29 streams outpace their depleted squadrons. Fuel-starved pilots cursed orders to engage. The B-29's technological superiority, radar pressurization, and long-reach capability rendered Japan's air defenses ineffective. The mining mission, dropping naval mines into key straits, amplified the incendiary strikes, isolating cities from resupply. Toyama's near-total urban destruction, Nagaoka's heavily damaged industrial hubs, Hachiōji's disrupted factories, and Mito's degraded logistics underscored the raid's impact, powered by the B-29's engineering. The B-29's combat radius of about 1,600 miles defined the campaign's strategic reach. Marianas bases far from Japan's grasp enabled deep strikes without fear of counterattack, crews navigated by radar compensating for wind and weather to maintain accuracy, bombardiers trained for precision, adjusted for drift, ensuring payloads ignited designated grids. The resulting firestorms consumed wooden cities, their glow visible to trailing aircraft. The raid's success, 801 aircraft hitting targets, proved the B-29's capacity for complex multi-city operations in a single night. Ground crews in the Marianas awaiting returning formations readied fuel and repairs for the next sortie. The B-29's maintenance demands, though intense, were met with disciplined efficiency, sustaining the 20th Air Force's relentless tempo. The raid's toll, about 6,632 tons of bombs plus naval mines, crippled Japan's war economy, its secondary cities and maritime routes reduced to chaos. The B-29's engineering, from engines to radar, enabled this unyielding pressure, pushing Japan toward inevitable collapse. The B-29 seconds that struck their targets. Crews landing under starlit skies carried memories of burning horizons. The 1st to 2nd August raid, a triumph of technical innovation, dismantled Japan's industrial base. Its fires, visible for miles, signaled the B-29's dominance, a machine that redefined strategic bombing. The 20th Air Force's mastery, built on engineering and tactics, amplified the raid's strategic weight, its impact echoing through Japan's crumbling defenses. Japan's strategy of dispersing production to secondary cities unraveled under the 20th Air Force's synchronized assault on 1–2 August 1945. 836 B-29 Superfortresses, delivering about 6,632 tons of bombs plus naval mines, struck Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito, while sealing key sea lanes. The B-29's combat radius of about 1,600 miles enabled strikes from Marianas bases, beyond sustained interception by fuel-starved defenders. 801 aircraft hit their targets with only one lost, exposing the futility of Japan's defensive plans. The belief that secondary cities could sustain industry collapsed as firestorms consumed urban centers. Toyama's aluminum plants, Nagaoka's research nodes, Hachiōji's industrial belt, and Mito's logistical hubs burned, their output erased. The mining mission, sealing critical straits, choked maritime arteries and isolated cities from resupply. Japan's decentralized production, designed to evade bombing, proved vulnerable to the B-29's ability to strike multiple targets in a single night. Fighter opposition, crippled by fuel shortages, could not mount effective interception. Radar guided B-29 seconds through cloud and darkness, with many attacks flown around 10 to 13,000 feet. Radar-guided bombing delivered incendiary clusters, with precision sparking firestorms that overwhelmed wooden cities. Ground crews maintaining right R 3,350 engines sustained high sortie rates, mitigating earlier overheating issues. The raid's efficiency, 836, dispatched one lost, reflected tactical mastery. Anti-aircraft fire, weakened by prior raids, seldom disrupted the mass delivery, leaving Japan's defenses powerless against the 20th Air Force's onslaught. Japanese commanders tracking B-29 seconds on radar saw their strategy fail. Pilots, grounded by fuel scarcity, cursed as cities burned unopposed. The raid's scale, 801 aircraft hitting targets, demonstrated the B-29's capacity to burn multiple cities while closing maritime routes in a single window. The mining mission's chokehold ensured no recovery, amplifying the incendiary devastation. Civil reports described chaos, fire breaks collapsed, water systems failed, and urban infrastructure dissolved as flames spread unchecked. The 1st to 2nd August operation shattered the myth of Japan's resilience. Earlier raids had tested the B-29's capabilities, revealing engine and weather constraints. By August 1945, maintenance and meteorology had adapted, overcoming those limits. The B-29's combat radius, about 1,600 miles, enabled deep strikes, while pressurized cabins sustained crews at altitude when required. The raid's success, 801 aircraft hitting targets, proved the 20th Air Force's ability to execute complex multi-city operations with devastating precision. The raid's impact exposed Japan's strategic miscalculation. Secondary cities, lightly defended, offered no resistance to the B-29's reach. Toyama's near-total destruction, 99.5% of its urban area, halted critical output. Nagaoka, Hachiōji, and Mito lay in ruins, their roles in Japan's war effort erased. The mining mission's lingering effects paralyzed coastal shipping and isolated regions. The 20th Air Force's coordinated assault, driven by engineering and operations, dismantled Japan's war-sustaining systems and pushed it toward collapse. As crews returned to the Marianas, they saw horizons glowing. The 1st to 2nd August raid, delivering about 6,632 tons of bombs plus naval mines, marked a strategic inflection, proving Japan's dispersed production could not withstand synchronized bombing and mining. The B-29's dominance, forged by engineering and tactics, signaled the end of Japan's industrial resilience. The 1 2 August 1945 raid capped a summer of relentless incendiary strikes and aerial mining hastening Japan's surrender. 836 B-29 Superfortresses, delivering about 6,632 tons of bombs, plus naval mines razed Hachiōji, Toyama, Nagaoka, and Mito, while sealing sea lanes. The B-29's range enabled Marianas to Honshu strikes and safe recovery, enabled strikes from Marianas bases beyond Japan's reach. 801 aircraft hit their targets with only one lost, underscoring the 20th Air Force's tactical and engineering mastery. The raid preceded a cascade of decisive blows. On 5 August, another multi-city incendiary strike deepened Japan's devastation. On 6 August, a B-29 dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. On 9 August, a second atomic strike hit Nagasaki as the Soviet Union opened its Manchurian offensive. The 1 to 2 August operation, combining city burns with mining, had exposed Japan's vulnerabilities, amplifying the impact of these final strikes. Bomb bays opened around 10 to 13,000 feet for precision. Radar-guided bombing kindled firestorms that consumed wooden cities. Ground crews maintaining Wright R 3,350 engines sustained high sortie rates and overcame earlier overheating issues. The raid's efficiency, 836, dispatched one lost, reflected months of procedural refinement. Japan's air defenses drained of fuel, and pilots failed to contest the bomber streams. Anti-aircraft fire diminished by prior losses fell short. Japanese commanders, staring at radar scopes, watched their strategy unravel. Pilots grounded by fuel scarcity saw cities burn unopposed. The raid's scale, 801 aircraft on target, demonstrated the B-29's capacity to ignite multiple cities while closing maritime routes in a single window. Minefields along the coast prevented recovery, isolating regions from food and materials. Civil reports described collapse firebreaks, failed water systems faltered, and urban administration dissolved. The cumulative campaign, exemplified by the 1 to 2 August raid, forced Japan to the brink. The B-29's combat radius, about 1,600 miles, enabled relentless deep strikes, while pressurized cabins sustained crews at altitude when required. By mid-August 1945, dozens of cities lay in ashes, coastal shipping was paralyzed, and industrial output was severely degraded. The raid's devastation, combined with atomic strikes and Soviet entry, left Japan's leadership no choice. On 15 August, Japan accepted surrender terms. As crews landed in the Marianas, horizons still glowed. The 1 to 2 August operation, delivering about 6,632 tons of bombs plus naval mines, played a pivotal role in the campaign's climax, dismantling Japan's military and industrial capacity. The 20th Air Force's mastery, honed through months of raids, culminated here. Synchronized city burns and maritime mining engineering married to tactics, a decisive blow in the war's final days.